and the fantastic music.
Hi everybody, thanks for sticking around. Thanks to Kali and Alejandro for the amazing talks. It's been a really interesting evening so far. I hope for you guys as well. Let's see how this works. Okay, here we go. So, thanks for TRKKN for having me, for giving me the opportunity to talk about our joint server-side tracking POC to fill some of the blind spots, at least nowadays. So let's get started with better than no tracking, BTNT, using server-side tracking to fill these blind spots. And in the end, we hopefully have some time for a Q&A session. So that's the agenda. Let's have a look at the approximately next 25 minutes. First, I'll give you a brief introduction of myself and of Aspiro Publishing and our brands and products, followed by a summary of the tracking challenges we are facing recently. After getting to know the challenges, I'll show you how these challenges can be solved, or at least how we are able to fill some of the occurring blind spots within tracking nowadays. And finally, I want to elaborate a little bit on the benefits of we achieved implementing this solution with TRKKN for our business. So that's me. Hi. Once upon a time, I studied international management, focusing on media management and marketing at the University of Flensburg and the University of Southern Denmark. Now I'm a senior business analyst and a data product owner at Deutschland in Hamburg, with 15 years of experience within the digital publishing industry, so quite some time. My main stakeholders over the past years have been editors, product managers, business managers for publishing brands like Stern, Gala, Brigitte, Schöner Wohnen, Geo, and many more. And I have more than 10 years of experience with working with Google Analytics, but I also worked with a couple of other web analytics tools like Omniture Site Catalyst, WebTrack, and real-time tools like Chartbeat or Upscore. So I've been quite around. I'm really passionate about enabling people to work with data and to take data-driven decisions for their business goals. And I love to show them how fun it can be to work with data on a daily and regular basis. So not just number crunchers, but business people, marketing people, and even editors creating content. Well, besides being a data person, I don't have a cat, but I'm a vinyl lover. I collect records. I'm a foodie. I still have 2 meals from HelloFresh from last week to cook. So no time this week for cooking. But I love to cook, and I love to take pictures of the food, of course, and post them on social media. And I'm a Scandinavian enthusiast. For example, I traveled whole Scandinavia this summer for 2 months to reach the North Cape and back. So it was Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway, and it was really a pleasure. And I'm a mom of a very lively and adventurous toddler, so that's the cat equivalent, maybe. But he starts to talk now, and he knows how to say no. Well, it's a challenge. So let's take a look at Aspiro Publishing. We've got really a couple of brands, and we got really a couple of products. We got, of course, websites, mobile and desktop. We got apps, hybrid and native, and we got even TV apps. And we've got brands from news brands like Stern, NTV, to people brands like Gala or VIP, communities like Chef Koch or Kochbar, and of course plus products like Stern Plus or Geo Plus. So this is quite a pretty wide portfolio to analyze and really a lot of data. So what's the challenge nowadays? In the good old times, tracking was pretty easy, but nowadays it gets more and more hard to track people because they get aware of what kind of data they leave within the internet while they surf the internet, and politicians do too. So as we heard before, that's our main challenge. And as data-driven people, we want to know as much as possible about our audience. To build the products that fit their needs, to create the content they are interested in, especially as a publisher, and of course to do successful business in the end. Due to especially privacy laws like GDPR, consent, etc., and browser plugins, AdBlockers, tracking preventions, it's getting harder and harder to know our whole audience using Google Analytics in a common client setup. So let's have a look at a typical user journey. A user reaches our website, let's say, for the first time via Facebook. So he clicks on a Facebook post of, in this case, gala.de, and they'll see a consent layer. So they've got 3 choices. They can click full opt-in, we can track them, we can sell high-price ads, everything is fine. They cannot fully opt in, and in this case, we got a pure product, which is a content pass. So you pay a monthly fee, and you can enter the website without ads and without tracking. So we earn money, but we cannot track them. And third, and well, let's say worse, they can bounce from the consent layer, and we don't know anything about them. We kind of lose them. Let's take a look at another user journey, this time RTL, because we don't have the pure product for every brand at the moment. So let's say this time the user finds an RTL.de article on Google, searches, and sees the consent layer. So this time again, choice is to fully opt in. Yoo-hoo! Everything's fine, track them, earn money. Not opt in, or not fully opt in, well, we can still, they enter the website, we can still sell ads, but not high price ads, and we cannot track them. And again, if they bounce, we do not know anything about them and we lose them completely. So what's the problem with the client-side tracking in a nutshell? Or how it works. We got our GTM, our tag management system. We got Google Analytics. And we have our events, our page views. We send them to Google Analytics or to BigQuery. We got our identified users. But since the beginning of 2022, due to privacy restrictions, we are just tracking the users giving full consent, which means those who gave no consent, we cannot track them anymore, as I told you. Those who bounces, we cannot track them anymore, so we're not able to track our whole audience anymore, plain and simple. So to sum it up, we can divide our total users mainly into 3 categories. The identified users, everything is fine, they consented, we track them. The unidentified users, we cannot track them, but we can kind of maybe sell ads to them because they partly consented or they did not consent, so they get the lower price ads. Or they decided to buy a pure content pass, so we monetize through this option. And we have even the invisible users, which are users using ad blockers, so maybe they consent, but we don't know. Because Google Analytics is blocked in a client-side setup, and we simply don't see them. So the challenge is to fill these blind spots. So to find out how can we track identified users and even invisible users. We became aware of the recent changes concerning data privacy regulations and so on, and the restriction of tracking users, and we talked to tracking about it. We said, so what can we do? Is there a possibility to be able to track those users? Is there a possibility to do modeling, whatever? And they came up with this interesting approach to solve our problem, which is the BT&T approach. The main points of the idea are the following. Don't use any cookies, just to be sure. Just to be sure, don't use any cookies, if possible. Completely refrain the collection of all further personal data. Even if it sometimes depends on your perspective what's personal data, or on the perspective of your legal department's sense what's personal data. So discuss that with your legal department, as well as using cookies. Maybe there is a purpose you're allowed to use cookies for certain purposes, but our legal department told us, don't use any cookies, please. So you can then collect completely anonymous interaction events, and you can draw your conclusions on the aggregated behavior of the users, which is definitely better than no tracking, definitely. So we set up a POC with tracking, and I will show you quickly how it looks like in a nutshell. We got our website, this time, for example, NTV, and the centerpiece of the setup is the server GTM. The server GTM container will be running in a fully controlled environment. Typically, this will be Google Cloud, but any other Docker-compatible computing service will work as well, so you can choose. The server GTM will provide a small JavaScript library to the front end of your website on every page load. And this JavaScript will take care of sending interaction data back to the server GTM on specific interactions of the user. The first thing the server GTM will do on reception of such interaction events will be to check for suspicious PII, so like email addresses, names, postal addresses, etc., and remove them from the incoming data to anonymize them even more. After the removal of this information, the server GTM will store the event data in BigQuery or any other database solution. Even Google Analytics itself would be possible. And after this storage, you're free to use the data in any reporting tool that you like. It might be Data Studio, might be Tableau, Power BI, whatever, or even Excel, probably. So, let's take a look at least a little bit of code, even though I'm not a techie. In order to track these interactions on our website anonymously, you'll need to run the following snippet on all pages. The script loads the tracking library from the server GTM, and then will add some sensible default dimensions to each hit that will later be sent to the server GTM, such like page location, so the URL, or the page title, the page refer, the page the user has been before, and an event name, unless explicitly specified, this will usually be page view. And on every page load, we call a tracking function to send the general page view information to the tracking server, and we'll add some custom event parameters, the EPs, to add further context. And ready, set, go. We're now able to track our users completely anonymous and able to finally fill some of the blind spots. So what are the benefits? Whoops, too far. Here we go. What are the metrics and dimensions we have? We have, in general, page views, which are triggered for every page load. We've got sessions, respectively something close to sessions. which is a new session indicator set to true if the document referrer does not equal the domain of the website. And we've got, of course, event hits like clicking on a button or starting a video or whatever you decide to track. And for every hit, we track different dimensions, which is for every hit, the event name. Again, the page location, the page title, the page referrer, but also the source and the medium. So we can say, was it organic traffic, was it social traffic, based on the medium. And we have custom dimensions. In our case, it's something like content type or a special kind of device category. Browsers would be possible as well. So you can add a lot of context using your custom dimensions. And custom events, like, as I said before, like media events or whatever. So let's get into it. I got some dashboarding examples for you. In this case, it's the consent layer. So we can analyze our consent layer, and we wouldn't be able to answer these questions if we don't have BT&T enabled. For example, we can now answer questions like how many consent layers have been shown at all, or how's the layer bounce rate developing. We can find out how many clicks on the All Accept button have been made, and how the interactions down there, what's pure subscriptions, what's full consent, what's bounces. So how did these interactions develop over time? And knowing the answers for those questions gives us the opportunity to optimize our consent layer, for example, and to get more people to fully opt in, hopefully, and to develop better products, to create better content, and earn more money in the end. Let's stick to consent, but beyond the layer itself, we can now answer questions like, how is the full consent rate? How is it developing over time? What's the best and the worst months? What's the normal range of the consent rate? What's the full consent rate overall, of course? What traffic sources are driving consent? Is it organic? Is it social? What source is it beneath? Is it Facebook or is it Google? So that's giving us hints what acquisition channel is driving the most full consent page views. And of course, what content is driving page views? Can we see any patterns in traffic sources or content? And can we identify a positive impact on our business by knowing these patterns? Furthermore, we're now able to analyze our pure subscription model. And this gives us the opportunity to optimize this product as well, because these users do not consent, but now we can track them. So with BT&T, we can answer questions like, how's the pure subscription rate? Who is it developing over time? Is it getting more? Is it getting less? What's the device split? So is it more a mobile use case or is it a desktop use case? Which browsers are driving pure page views? Which content is driving pure page views again? So we wouldn't be able to do this without better than no tracking. So that's our unidentified users we were looking at the moment. And I told you we have the invisible users as well. So what about AdBlockers? They might be users who fully consented, but we do not see them. And in BT&T, there is a kind of, let's call it, special feature to estimate the use of ad-blocking users. An indicator will be set if the user gave consent, but if there is no Google Analytics cookie, so then it's an educated guess that this user is using an ad blocker. Because otherwise, if he consented, he should have the Google Analytics cookie. So we are now able to analyze our invisible users as well. So we can calculate ad blocking rates and furthermore. And as you can see, we can fill a lot of the blind spots with BT&T, and we're able to optimize our products, to make better content, and in the end, to earn more money, hopefully. But there are still some questions we will not be able to answer. Due to the anonymous setup, the hits are not stick together, for example. So one hit doesn't know what the other one was. And that leads to certain blind spots. So we're, for example, not able to answer questions like, what was the landing page of the user that bought a product, even that bought a pure product? We're not able to analyze this to optimize funnels or conversions. Or we cannot say how many pages do my user click in a session, so no page views per session, because the pages are not stick together. Or on what pages do users typically bounce? We have the bounce rate of the layer, as I told you before, but we do not have a bounce rate of the whole page or the whole website or the whole app, due to the fact that we cannot identify one-click sessions to calculate a bounce rate. But still, this whole setup is so much better than no tracking, and we were really happy to do this POC with Tracking and to learn a lot about our unidentified users and about our invisible users. Thank you so far. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Nino. I always love to see the consent tracking itself, which is so cool that you do it deliberately. Because I feel, when that thing became a thing, some people did it undeliberately, just putting it out there. So, yeah, you know the drill. I would like to hand over to Eva first. Is the laptop working? Not yet? Not yet? Not yet, don't worry. I'd like to hand over to you guys, obviously, is what I meant. Any questions from the audience so far? Yes, please.
Do you use the data? Oh, sorry. Hi. Thanks. I was wondering if you use your data of the consumers you don't know, if you use it to, combine certain aspects of those users that you can upsell for advertising on those websites. Is that a
That would be an interesting case, though, yeah. No, we don't do it at the moment, because since it's still a POC, and we're still learning how to use the data and what questions to ask furthermore than just to, hey, now we know the bounce rate of the consent layer, which is so cool, and we can see how many ad blocking pages we have. So, but I'll keep that in mind.
You don't aggregate it and then say something about it?
We don't do it at the moment.
Is that possible due to legal or not?
That's another good question. Maybe that's something I should discuss with our legal department.
Very nice. Are we still getting the laptop to work until then? And another person from the audience?
Otherwise, we'd just have drinks and dinner.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Now we got another one.
I have one. What's the consent rate for full consent for you, or in your case?
It varies, since we've got a wide variety of different brands. It depends somehow. We figured out it depends somehow on the field the website is working in. So you got other consent rates for people websites or women websites than for tech websites or news websites. For example, for news websites, users seem to be much more used to consent layers, and they used to click the all accept button or buy the pure product much more often, but it varies between, let's say, 80 to 90%, which is quite good. I know from colleagues from a really tech website, they have really low consent rates, really low.
Thanks.
Another one from the chat, it appears.
Yep, I would have one. How much effort was it to set up BTNT for all your websites?
Actually, we didn't set it up for all websites. We did a POC for Stern, Brigitte, Gala, Geo. That's more or less it. So it's been the websites based in Hamburg and just 4 of them. It was quite some work, but most of the work, luckily, did Hannes from Tracking. So I was just checking the data if they're reasonable. Yeah, but it's you have to invest a little bit of time and effort to do so. And there, I want to be true, there are some challenges, at least for our tech stack. For example, to get hybrid apps rolling, to get AMP rolling. So there are still some steps to go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And apparently we're all getting better at rolling these out. Sure, Hannes is.
They do.
Yeah, thank him. Not to be confused with the other Hannes we have here, even though they look alike. In any case, were that all the questions for now?
I would have one more, actually.
Okay, one last, and then
there's a question. Sorry.
Almost.
There's a question, not really regarding your presentation, but on general advertising for your target groups that might differ a lot. Can you say some words about how you, generally, or what your approach is on the difference of target groups for marketing?
So, if it was somebody in the audience, I would ask a question back, which is hard for the chat, because I don't get it.
Yeah, we anyways collect all questions and get back to the persons afterwards.
Because if we're talking on marketing regarding acquisition for traffic for our websites, yeah, it's different, but actually we usually, for most of our websites, it's organic audience marketing. So we don't have a big marketing budget. We don't spend a lot of money on Facebook posting, boosting, or whatever. So our best marketeers regarding to the audience are our editors and their content. So, and our search engine optimization editors and our social editors. So that's more or less our main marketing channel.
Cool, thank you.
Creating good content.
Lovely. Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? Creating things people want. One last question. I lied.
I'm not bringing the microphone. There it is. What about tracking for Info Online, IVW, and VG Wort? Is that affected by consent also? And do you leverage the server-side GTM to boost your numbers for IVW, for example?
I'm not sure if that would be legal to boost your numbers in IVW.
I mean, using a server-side setup, a server-to-server tracking, you could reach clients that you wouldn't be able to track.
Yeah, that's
beforehand.
true. No, we don't do that, but actually IVW, which is the market measurement tool in Germany, just for the not German audience, IVW is having a possibility to track no consent page views as well. So we've got 2 different setups. We've got the consent mode, is the wrong word, but it's called Zensusmessung. And we've got the pseudonyme Messung, which is with more information, so with personalized information like the user agent, for example. And we've got, if we combine these two, or the EVV is combining these two, and then they've got sessions modeled for your whole audience. So we got the whole audience in EVV as well, except probably ad blocking users. So invisible users are really hard to get.